The pungent smell of sawdust seared my nostrils as I gazed upon the wreckage, the remains of the wheelchair ramp that I had constructed for Mom. Grocery bags fell from my grasp, hitting the pavement. I sprinted to the front door, and there was Mom, Clara Hensley, stuck in her wheelchair, tracks of tears cutting down her face like rain down glass. "They tore it down, Michael," she strangled out, voice shattering. "I was cooped up indoors all day until Mrs. Ingwin gave me a break." I knelt beside her, my fists shaking with fury. "Who did this?" She just gestured to a neon pink notice taped to the door. "Notice of covenant violation." The lettering yelled in bold. It referred to the ramp as an unapproved structural modification, taken down pursuant to Section 8.3 of the Pinewood Estates HOA bylaws. I grabbed my phone, prepared to savage whoever was behind it, but Mom caught my arm, halted me in my tracks. "It was Ms. Carter," she said. "She came with 3 men in a truck. I pleaded with them to stop, told her I couldn't get in or out without it. She just smiled and said, 'Rules are rules.' That ramp had been my labor of love, my project after Mom's stroke rendered her right side useless. Those 3 little steps might as well have been Everest, but the ramp had restored her freedom, and now it was destroyed." The HOA's voicemail answered. No answer. I grind my teeth. "I'm calling the police." Officer Daniels arrived quick, and his expression indicated he did care, but his words were useless. "This is a civil matter," he said to us. "The ramp was on HOA property, in the common area." Mom never said a word, just looked at the smashed boards, her eyes blazing with something I couldn't identify. Later, Mrs. Ingham brought over dinner and whispered, "That Carter woman. She fined the Lopez family just last month over a swing set." I told Mom we'd fight it, file paperwork, plead our case, but she squeezed my hand hard. "Michael," she said, her tone suddenly sharp, "go to the study closet. Get the green box. Top shelf, labeled Hensley Beef, A Partners." I opened it. Dust swirled up. Within, legal pads, yellowed news clippings, piles of business cards. Mom extracted a photograph, a younger version of her standing on courthouse steps, a crowd of wheelchair users cheering in the background. "Before I was a teacher, before I met your dad," she said, her voice firm now, "I was Clara Hensley, founding partner, Hensley 5 Partners." I blinked, speechless. A newspaper headline glared back at me. "Civil rights attorney makes to state retrofit public buildings." She regarded me, calm, unblinking. "For 15 years, I battled cities, corporations, HOAS. And then," she smiled, "but then what?" "Well, that's when everything changed. Whoever thought disabled folks didn't deserve access?" I was frozen in place, speechless. Mom had been the cookie-baking school teacher all my life. That was the image. That was the facade. Why had she concealed this aspect of herself? She took a slow breath. "We craved peace," she whispered, "but I never lost how to fight." Then she picked up a legal pad. "Get my computer," she instructed, her voice changing into something intense. "The ADA is very clear about accommodations, and Linda Carter just chose the wrong house to play with." Before I could digest that, I spotted her, Ms. Carter, strutting up the walkway, heels clicking like a warning bell, another notice in hand. A slow smile spread across my lips. "Let me tape this," I said, turning on my phone. Mom nodded a small nod, and in her eyes was a glimmer of something I hadn't seen since the stroke. Fire. Carter's knock was sharp, suit crisp, clipboard held like armor. "Another violation," she barked, thrusting a paper toward me. "Your trash can was visible for 6 hours." Mom rolled forward. Calm. Director. "Ms. Carter," she said evenly, "I'm Clara Hensley." But Carter barely glanced at her, speaking over her to me. "Your mother needs to understand that rules are rules. 3 violations in 1 month means fines." Mom's voice cut through the air like steel. "Actually," she said, "federal law overrides your bylaws. The ADA and the Fair Housing Act protect my right to reasonable accommodations." Carter blinked, clearly not expecting pushback. "You should have filed a request," she snapped, trying to regain ground. Mom's smile was razor thin. Destroying a necessary accommodation before a request can even be processed? That's illegal. As a former attorney with Hensley VA Partners, perhaps you're familiar with Cresview v. Martin Estates? Carter's face paled. I know my rights, Mom finished, then dropped a folder marked HOA, liability, and ADA precedents in her lap. Carter grasped it with a stiffness. I'll refer it to the board, she stammered, spinning on her heel. Then my phone went off. A text from Mrs. Enwin. What did you say to the witch? She looked absolutely terrified, followed by a knock, and another. Neighbors started dropping by. The Gwynns, the Lopezes, even elderly Mr. Hayes from down the street, all with tails, a basketball hoop, a garden bench. Diwali lights marked ethnic clutter, fines, warnings, threats, all Carter's. And then the HOA had an emergency meeting. We were instructed to attend. That evening across the street, a black SUV was parked. Carter sat in it, keeping watch on our home. Mom spotted it. Michael, she said softly, write it all down. I hardly slept. At midnight, headlights carved a slash across our window, hesitated, and passed on. Something was on the way. The community center was in an uproar the following night. Carter huddled in the corner, whispering at the top of his voice, Who brought her? Mom rolled in slowly, hands firm, eyes burning. Board President Stephen Grant rose to speak, but stumbled when he saw her. I waved my hand up. We're here, I said. Regarding the ramp removal was illegal, Mom stated. Carter growled, Wait your turn. Mom didn't waver, however. Her voice cut cleanly through the room. Your own bylaws, Section 4.3, state that ADA issues may be brought up at any time. I researched it. A wave of whispers swept across the room. She moved forward and placed a folder on the table with a gentle click. Taking down that ramp was against federal law. Board President Grant's insincere smile stumbled. It wasn't approved, he stammered. Mom's face changed. The same poised, razor-sharp smile from those ancient courthouse pictures. Then I'm sure you won't object to the emergency injunction I filed this morning, she said. I'm Clara Hensley, formerly of Hensley Partners. The room fell silent. An older man whistled long and low. You're the one who destroyed Oak Ridge Properties. Carter's pen fell from her hand. Then a woman stood. They charged me 6 times for my garden statues. Can she assist? More voices were heard, talking of harassment, charges, towed vehicles. Mom didn't quit. One more thing, she said. Why did we pay $430,000 for landscaping to Grant Reynolds Contracting? Mr. Nguyen sprang up. That's your business, Stephen. Grant jumped over the papers. This is defamation, he growled. But Mom remained firm. It's public record, like the lawsuits for your poor work. Treasurer Paul Reynolds stood up, tipping over his chair. We increased property values by driving out people who didn't belong, such as the Garcias. Sit down, Stephen, snapped Mrs. Ellis, a retired school principal, thumping her cane on the floor. The room fell silent. Then Mom opened her folder once more. 17 accessibility infractions throughout Pinewood, she said matter-of-factly. Blocked walkways, no railings. And this, an email exchange between you and Miss Carter. Scheduling bogus end runs to finance your vacation property. Paul went white. Who sent that? Mom didn't flinch. You sent it to everyone on the board. So did Mrs. Klein. A faint wave from the corner. Mrs. Klein was on the verge of disappearing into the wallpaper. Grant seized his briefcase. This meeting is over. But Mrs. Ellis blocked the exit. Not tonight. Then, flash, a camera lit the room. Maria Torres, Metro News. Mr. Reynolds, do you wish to comment on your board's harassment of a disabled resident? Mom smiled. Maria and I go way back. The room erupted. Neighbors rushed forward, crying complaints, demands. Carter slipped out, phantom-like. Mr. Engen rose and called for a vote, to oust the whole board. Victory felt electric, but it didn't last. When we got home, water was pouring out the front door. Every sink, every tub, full blast. I ran for the breaker. Then Mom's phone buzzed, an anonymous text. Drop this, or it gets worse. It or worse, the police dubbed it, a matter of civil strife. But Mom stood firm. She cited ADA violations by the ton. Neighbors rallied around. Mrs. Ellis arrived with mops. Gwynn's brought fans. Water invaded our house, destroying Mom's vintage law career photos, moments we could never regain. Perhaps we should relocate, I whispered, but her eyes burned with flames. That's what they want. Midnight knock at the door. Paul Reynolds, drenched, eyes wild as if he had just seen a specter, pressed into my hand a flash drive. Carter maintains hidden ledgers, he stuttered, shaking with fear. It's not hardscaping, it's house flipping. They're getting ready to do something huge to your mom. Before I could react, a black SUV sped down the street, veering at the last moment to miss Paul. He disappeared into the darkness, leaving us with nothing but a sense of foreboding danger. We didn't notice the flashing device on the ground near the mailbox. It was filming us. By dawn, the sirens came. Police cuffed Grant and Paul at Grant's house. Detective Lopez said the information we'd gathered froze their accounts. But Carter? She was gone. Vanished. Then Maria's article hit. News vans swarmed. Mom's TV interview went viral. Accessibility isn't a privilege, she declared. It's dignity.